Hello, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings, Astrology for Healing. I am here today chatting with you specifically about the equinox energies. The equinox is right upon us. It's happening on, depending where you are, September 22nd or to September 23rd. I'm in the East Coast right now, so it's September 23rd, right around 2:50 a.m. So it definitely could be happening for you on the 22nd or later in the 23rd. And this is a moment when, I really work with equinox as a type of threshold, and it's a moment when we're coming through this threshold that is very important in terms of setting the tone for the next few months that we're going to pass through until we enter into the next threshold, which will be solstice. And so depending upon where you are, if you're with me in the northern hemisphere, this is the fall equinox. So we are coming into the season of fall, which is then going to have us coming into less and less daylight until we reach that winter solstice. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, we flip that, and you are coming into your spring equinox, and you are going to be moving towards more and more light. Okay, so you absolutely want to work with where you are, because that is so important into how this energy is going to be manifesting, especially within our bodies and within our psyche. And excuse me. So what is this a threshold for? I released a video just about a week ago that was really talking about the way that equinox, and then is carrying us into eclipse season, which is October, is working with Pluto, and that is definitely some of the energy. And so if you've seen that, you kind of have this idea of some of the energy that we're coming into this next season. But equinox, I really want to take a moment and just look at the chart with you of the equinox chart, which sets the tone for, firstly, this threshold that we are moving through and how we can kind of consciously be opening to that so that we can be more open and mindful as we move into this next season. But it's also a lovely time to set intentions. And we are talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years of human history working with the energies at these times, at these significant times when the Earth's relationship with the sun and the cosmos is shifting. And so again, equinox really represents this time when we have a moment to come into balance, when we have an equal amount of light and dark. And it's when the sun comes into the sign of Libra. So it's our entry into Libra season. That is what this September equinox is all about. And so we really want to pay attention to what's going on with the sun in the chart. And then we want to look at some other aspects of what's happening. And I really do see this equinox energy as a healing moment, because of the energies that we have. Yes, we've been working with Pluto square the nodes. We're coming into some more energy with Pluto square the nodes during eclipse season. This is going to be what this equinox kind of brings us into. And yet this moment of equinox in the chart, there is this beautiful healing energy present. And so we can really invite that into our lives, into our awareness, into our daily living, and just be with that a little bit. And so, firstly, this is Libra season. So we have the sun coming into Libra. Happy solar returns to all you Libra suns out there. And Libra is an air sign. Libra is the archetype of justice making, justice seeking, true equality making. It is also aligned with beauty. It is absolutely aligned with the gracefulness of beauty. Again, think of that balance, think of a beautiful dancer just representing that balance, that when we perceive it, which has come from a lot of hard work, but when we perceive it as an audience, we perceive it as this kind of gracefulness, and there's certain Libra attributes there. And so we're coming into a season of wanting to embrace in a solar drive way for all of us, regardless of our sun. And then depending on our independent chart, it impacts us differently. But this energy of coming into balance. Libra is also aligned with one-on-one relationships. We have a South Node in Libra right now, so that is significant because the South Node is in that sign of Libra, helping us to clear away patterns of one-on-one relating that are no longer serving us or our relationships. And that's significant that the South Node is in Libra during this equinox because it kind of heightens some of these Libra energies. And then we're going to have the Sun conjunct the South Node. We're going to have Mars conjunct the South Node and others. So really we can just be mindful first off of that one-on-one relational way of being in a way that is, I really work with the word equanimity for Libra, creating this sense of balance, especially in my mind, because we are also dealing with an air sign, okay? And what is the sun? You know, one of the most significant things about this chart and the energies of this equinox is that the sun has actually been in this really beautiful harmony making with the outer planets, with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And so it's moved in its kind of direct conversations with all of those outer planets. So first it was in this very direct trine relationship with Uranus and Taurus. Then we're still in it as I'm making this, had the sun opposite Neptune and Pisces. And now the sun is moving forward. And so it's still going to be opposite. It's still going to be opposite Neptune, but it's going to be much more strongly in its conversation with Pluto. It's going to be trine Pluto. All of these outer planets are retrograde, meaning that they're in astrology. We translate that as they're really helping us to rework our understanding of the archetypal energies that they are highlighting and manifesting. And so this sun during this moment of equinox is trine Pluto. Pluto, who is retrograde. Pluto, who is retrograde through the final degrees of Capricorn. Pluto, who is going to go direct and then move through the 27th and 28th degrees of Capricorn for the last time an hour in this lifetime that we're embodying right now. And so that trine is generally a very supportive relationship. And so there is this transformative energy that is really supporting us as we are seeking balance, as we are seeking peace, as we are seeking equanimity, as we are seeking relational ways of being that support us in these journeys, especially during times of great change. And we are in a time of significant change with Pluto square the nodes. And so that's the first piece that is really significant, that there's this, Pluto is all about transformation. And in this moment where we enter into this balance of light and dark, which we can really work with in however that's manifesting for ourselves. And if you want to look at your chart, you want to look where you have 0 degrees of Libra and see what house that's in, because this is really where you could also very intentionally work with the energy to set intentions for the next few months. How do you want to come into more balance in your ways of relating, especially during Libra season? How do you want to embrace that transformative energy that Pluto is offering to your ways of being in balanced relationship, okay? Showing up as ourself. This is part of what we're all working with Libra right now, because that South Node is there. So this trine with Pluto is also helping us to step out of ways that we've been showing up in relationship that don't honor ourselves. And if we're not honoring ourselves, we're not actually honoring the whole relationship. That other person that we're in relationship with, whether that is committed partnership, a friendship, a colleague, a family member, all one-on-one relationships. But if we hide parts of ourselves, or we silence parts of ourselves in order to try and appease someone else or just keep the peace, Libra themes, we're not showing up as honestly as we could. And firstly, we're not showing up honestly with ourselves. And this is part of Libra's journey, is learning to be in relationship with itself so it can be in relationship with others. And it needs others often to find out if it's showing up honestly or not. And so we're being supported to just kind of step out, come into this moment of true balance, balance with others, balance with ourselves, balance in this air of inviting a moment of peacefulness. And I said a healing moment. So in that trine to Pluto, for me, is also part of the healing energy. But Venus. So Venus is we call it the ruler of Libra energy. So if we want to get another layer of what's going on, we look at Venus in the chart. And firstly, Venus is conjunct the asteroid Juno. They've been together for a little while. They're going to continue to be together. They're moving really closely. Venus is fresh into a brand new cycle in the sign of Leo. She's come out of a retrograde. She's been rebirthed. We are working, all of us, with Venus energy that is really about embodying this new kind of spirit of self-love and desire. Absolutely no other reason than because it's what we are here for. This is what this Venus retrograde has really, right now, we've shed other parts of ourselves and we're here and we are bringing in new desires of self and passion that then go out into our creative projects, then go out into our relationships, then go out into how we spend money. But the core of it is about what our authentic desires are. And Venus is with Juno, who's this goddess of marriage, commitment, all about how we enter into integrity in like contractual situations, whether that's business or marriage. If we're in a committed partnership, then this is definitely a time for our desires to speak somewhat loudly, somewhat with a little bit of flair. Maybe we are in Leo, in a way that really supports our relationships. And they are square Jupiter and Uranus. Okay, so they've been square Jupiter. They're starting to move a little bit away from that Jupiter, and then they're going to come into an even closer square with Uranus, and they're speaking to both of those energies right now. So this is, very simply put, this is really about how in both Jupiter and Uranus are in Taurus, and they are supporting us to expand potentially radically in new ways by claiming our desires, claiming what is of value to us. You probably hear of squares as tensions and I do not work with a square as just a negative aspect. I work with it as dynamic energy. The tension is going to come about if we are trying to expand, trying to move forward in ways that aren't aligned with our core desires. If we are still pushing aside things that we know we want, but we silence it. And sometimes that knowing we want it, it's like really in the body. It comes up in the body. Our mind, sometimes it's not like we're all sitting here saying, I want this and I won't let myself do this because, it's not that rational. It's not cognitively based. We've been taught that we're not supposed to desire certain things for ourselves. And all of us have totally different stories around that. It has to do with family. It has to do with our own social identity, social locations. It has to do with how we relate to capitalism and colonialism. It has so many layers to it. But often we've been conditioned. And so Venus has really been working to unlearn some of that and to bring up our desires, our authentic desires that are not ego-driven, that are not about greed. This is not about greedy self-love. This is about pure Leo energy that is rooted into divine creative spirit. That's where it comes from. Leo is not by nature narcissistic. It is flowing with divine creative energy, and that's what Venus wants. And so the more we can get in touch with that, the more we're going to be supported in working with that Uranus and Taurus energy to expand. And that's all a layer of the sun coming into beautiful, equitable relationship. We get to claim who we are. We don't have to silence it anymore. We don't have to hide. It doesn't mean that we necessarily just change overnight, you know, especially we're coming into seasons of change. We're coming into seasons of shifting. You know, in the Northern Hemisphere, we are getting a little bit more within as we traditionally get into the longer, darker of the days. And, you know, we're starting to shift energies. Flip that if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. This is, you know, when we talk about these energies collectively, it's not this idea that it happens in one fell swoop, but we absolutely can be conscious with it, and we absolutely can set intentions, and we can also just come into that magical synchronistic relationship of co-creation, and we do start seeing things change. I'm going too long. I know I am, so I'll go quickly now. And the other thing I wanted to mention about Venus is that she's trine Chiron. Her and Juno are trine Chiron, okay? And they're trine Chiron, who is our wounded healer, who's in Aries, while Mars is opposite Chiron. And so there's a sextile, a supportive relationship between Mars and Venus, which is often about supporting our desires as well. But especially because Mars is opposite that Chiron and Venus is trine it with Jupiter there, this is the healing moment. And this is not necessarily the healing moment to just jump forward and start acting on things. We're about a week away from our Aries full moon. We're going to have a little bit more of that energy there. But it's really about just accepting this relationship between everything I've said about Venus and this kind of reclaiming and healing energy that is being supported by this Chiron and Aries, who is wanting to heal a part of ourself. Okay, so this is healthy focus on the self, a self getting more and more aligned with whatever language you use, higher self, divine, mystery, goddess, God, universe, higher purpose. There's so many different ways of talking about what it is we're coming into alignment with. We could just say our soul, okay, our soul's song. That's how I've been talking about the sun harmonizing with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So really just coming in more and more in balance, Libra, Equinox, with our soul song, so that we can then be in relationship with others in more balanced, equitable ways, which is also making our South Node in Libra very happy. And that South Node is helping us. Last thing I just want to mention, because this energy is beautiful and it's still going on, is that there's a grand trine, a water trine, supporting this whole situation between Vesta, goddess of the sacred hearth, Ceres, the earth mother. Vesta is in Cancer, Ceres is in Scorpio, and Saturn, who is retrograde in Pisces. And this is just very supportive, again, healing energy, working with Saturn, who's trying to clean up the Pisces area of our psyche so that we can absolutely bring the spiritual in new ways, and probably closing things out there on that Saturn journey. But we have Vesta just working with our own kind of sanctuary of creative energy within. We have Ceres, the earth mother, who is, you know, this sometimes in, like, especially in Scorpio, the word protector is coming up, like she's the ultimate protector in this way, and she can go very deep in Scorpio. And so there's just, and it's flowing. Okay, this is a water trine, it's flowing. It's also a lot of energy, okay? And so it's again, this is, on the one hand, it's this equinox moment that we can just sit within. And whatever I have said, if you're still with me, you just want to work especially with what resonated with you and take that into creating or integrating it into equinox rituals for yourselves. And I'm approaching 20 minutes, which is much too long. So I'm going to stop and just send you such equinox blessings. Bye-bye.